comfortable. Just want to do a quick reminder that for the health and safety of everyone, we should mind our COVID guidelines. And if you would like to wear a mask or need some hand disinfectant, etc., you can find all of that at the registration desk. All right, so again, like I said, we're going to be starting shortly. And I guess, does shortly mean right now? Great. Okay. Good morning, everybody. Guten Morgen, herzlich willkommen, warm welcome to all of you to the Acronis Cyber Fit Summit 2021 in Schaffhausen. It's really great to see all of you. And this year we're going to be kicking it off with, as you can see, the Women in Tech Breakfast panel. Now we have a great lineup of ladies that are going to be joining us very shortly. But first, I'd like to help me set the stage, I would like to introduce Acronis CEO Patrick Pulvermüller. Welcome, sir, for whom I understand, warm applause, for whom I understand this topic is very close to your heart. No, so Patrick.
Thanks.
The floor is yours.
Einen wunderschönen guten Morgen. Ich freue mich total, hier zu sein und mit Ihnen heute diesen Tag zu verbringen. A very, very warm welcome. I can't wait to enjoy this hopefully very rewarding day with all of you over the course of the next hours. I will continue my speech in English so that I can reach everyone in this room and everyone who's next door and listening to me on the screen with the camera who's over there. Thank you so much. I would like to share with you over the course of this day some personal experiences and some professional experiences, because I think it's very important for you as our partners to understand who is this new CEO of Acronis, who is Patrick Pulvermüller. Because I think it's very important for you so that you really know what to expect from me and how I am going to lead the team to be hopefully even more successful than it has been in the past. And I would like to start right now with a very important topic. But before I go there, let me say a very, very special thanks to James for sponsoring this session, because this session, as just mentioned, is really very close to my heart. I grew up in Passau, which is at the Bavarian-Austrian border, and some of you might know this place, in a very small village. A village next door, which I never visited because it was on the other side and I didn't like the people there. My wife actually grew up. And by accident, we met 25 years ago. So we came from a very similar background, similar neighborhood almost. We experienced truly exactly the same. And we both had a very, very successful career so far in IT over the last 20 years. Yes, we met in our jobs. But what we realized very early on is that even though my wife and I, we had the same training, the same coaches, we read the same books, and we talked at home all the time about work, which might be good or bad for the marriage, I don't know yet. I'll figure out over the course of the next years. We realized one thing, is that even though we really do everything the same way, it was always 1 or 2 steps more difficult for her to get stuff done, to get the approval, to get the sign-off, to get the feedback she needed. And this is something which frustrated her, frankly, but it made me angry, because I love her. I can say this because it's my wife. And there was no reason why she should be treated differently, but it happened. So fast forward, and 5 kids later, 3 boys and 2 girls, I want all of them, frankly, to have equal opportunity. But not only I want to have equal opportunity for my kids, which, by the way, does not mean my boy should have less opportunity, just equal. That's all I'm asking for. Not only for my kids I want this, but I wanted this for everyone. No matter what your cultural background is, your ethnicity or whatever, we all should have equal opportunities. And I truly believe in a digitized world like this, this must be possible. There's no reason why this must not be possible. So I made it my personal objective, not only as CEO of Acronis, but also in my personal life, to work very hard to provide equal opportunities to everyone, no matter where you come from, no matter about the ethnicity, your gender, or the culture. So with that, I can't wait to really listen now to what I can learn here from this amazing team who will be on stage. And I'm really looking forward to that discussion, and I hope I learn a lot. I'm sure I will learn a lot from these amazing people. Thank you so much, and back to you.
Wait, before you go. Thank you so much. Thank you for sharing that. That's it's very personal. Really appreciate that. But okay, so you have the 5 children. How are you speaking to them about diversity and inclusion? I mean, what's your conversation with them like?
So, very good question. So, frankly, I don't speak about it for a simple reason: they don't listen to me.
Oh.
But it's leading by example. It's what I do, what we do at home every day. It's the small things that we are sitting at the dinner table, and I get up and I clean up the dinner table. It's these things where the kids at the table realize suddenly it doesn't matter if it's mom or dad. We do the same thing the same way, and we treat each other the same way. It's we are fortunate enough to have a very diverse friendship and social environment. So we treat everyone the same way, and we are being treated the same way. It goes in both ways, and that's really what I realized made my kids just behave the same way. Because as much as I hate this, the kids always look at you and they look for your bad behavior, and that's the behavior they copy, not the good pieces, the bad pieces. And that's why I'm doubling down on this and really make sure that I truly am not overemphasizing, but I'm just leading by example. That's what I aspire to do.
Well, thank you. Can I clap?
Yes, you can.
I mean, honestly, your messaging really resonates with me. I also have 2 children, and I think I'm probably not alone. There's probably a lot of parents in this room, and to your point, it's not only for parents, right? It's for all of us.
Yep.
You know, we all have to set an example for the younger generations, because they are watching, you know, for good or for bad.
Over to you.
So thank you, Patrick.
Thanks.
All right, so thank you again for helping us set that stage. And like I said, you know, the messaging, it's important, whether it be through example or what our young people, our children hear at the dinner table, at school, at the community level. I mean, in the media, we are all responsible, right, for the next generations. And if we want to see more diversity and more inclusion, more women in tech, moving forward, then yes, I don't know who's with me, but I strongly believe we have to start moving those biases away as early as possible, as we already had a discussion last night. Now, just a brief word about me. I grew up in the US, so I grew up in a very conservative Latin family. So Cuban stay-at-home mother, Spanish very professor father. And while this was very culturally enriching, totally biased when it came to gender. Everything I owned was pink. I had brothers, so there were alternatives, 3 brothers, so there were trucks and Legos, but those things were for the boys, and team sports were for the boys. And to be honest, even percussion, which was a dream of mine, that was for the boys. So in a sense, not a lot of other opportunities, but of course this bled over into my career expectations for myself. I mean, I basically wasn't really expected to have one. I mean, don't get me wrong. My father, the professor, was very big on academics. The university degree was very important. However, you know, obtaining one other than that, they really didn't think I'd have much of a use for. And because, of course, you know, let's be honest, the goal of any respectable young woman is to get married and have her own family. And the funny thing was that, you know, I heard this message like running on a loop in my head for so long that at some point I accepted it as truth. And I thought, yeah, okay, then that's what's going to happen to me. That's how it's going to be. And even when my career in television took off and I was traveling the world with CNN and hosting my own show in LA, I still heard and felt that this job was really just like a placeholder in time, and that it would serve me until Prince Charming walked in the door on the white horse, swept me off my feet, and kick-started my real life. So not surprisingly, imposter syndrome, I don't know how many of you have heard this term or are familiar with it, was my companion for a long time. I thought my bosses, my colleagues, viewers, they're all going to wake up one day and realize, I was not who I was saying I was really just an expectant, debutante waiting for her husband to arrive, who was impersonating a television journalist. And it wasn't until I finally, and quite literally, turned down Prince Charming, yes, I'm still very proud of that moment, that I broke through that bias. And of course, this is a longer story, which we don't have time for today, for another time. But that's when I started to really live my life and discover that I had really a lot to give beyond these constraints that had already been assigned to me as a child. I was, in fact, a natural athlete, and I love to build things. And I'm fairly certain that I would have been a badass drummer. But then, again, this was not the messages that I was hearing. And then 10 years ago, that next seismic shift of moving to Switzerland and having my first child, who happened to be a girl. And suddenly, I had the golden opportunity right there at home to pass on my learnings. And I haven't been fortunate enough to have boys, Patrick, wherever you are, but only girls. But to pass on at least my learnings and do things differently. And like you, the jury is still out as to how successful I am. We're going to ask her in about 10 years how she feels. But I tried, I bought trains, and I bought Legos, and I bought cars, and books on space travel, and everything that I could think of that could also appeal to her, even though she's a girl. And I even took time off of my career to really dedicate myself to the cause of raising my daughter, and eventually her sister. And I don't regret, honestly, a minute of it. And by the way, my youngest daughter, who you'll see a picture of later on, has trisomy, so she has Down syndrome. And suddenly, that aspect of diversity and inclusion also had a seat at our dinner table. And then 4 years ago, that CNN train came around, and I told myself, it was time to go back to work. It's really time to reconnect with that part of myself, with my career. And I really went, gung-ho, all in. And I'm happy I did that, but honestly, I also wanted my daughters to know that it's possible to have both in your life, a job that you love and a career that you love, and that you can nurture both, with help. We'll hear about that later on, too. And of course, it hasn't been easy. Come on. Most days, I feel like the CEO of my own 3-ring circus. But again, most days, it works. And I get to be here today while my husband is at home minding the fort, taking care of the girls, getting them off to school. And I get to be with all of you. And more importantly, I get to share the stage with these 4 fantastic women and hear about their journeys that they're also going to share with you in the field of women in tech specifically, but how we are all working together to move these conversations forward. So, enough about me. Please, I'd like you to give a warm welcome to our speakers today, Svetlana, Sabine, Marija, Dr. Marija, and Lisa. Please take a seat. Thank you so much for being with us this morning, so bright and early, and accompanying us on this breakfast conversation. Now, now that you know more about me than you probably even ever cared to know, I'd like the audience to get to know all of you a little bit better. So, Svetlana, if I can start with you. Svetlana Sorokina.
Sure. Good morning, everyone. Grüezi miteinander. My name is Svetlana Sorokina. I'm a managing director of Ingram Micro Switzerland. I'm originally Russian, but I lived in Dubai in the Middle East for 23 years. Very interesting story. And I came here to Switzerland 1 year ago with my family.
And very interesting, now that you mention your time in the Middle East, is it fair to say that that's when you are very supportive of other women and of promoting women, and you had a special connection with the women there in the Middle East?
Yes, absolutely. I think why it happened, it's interesting that my career happened to grow in Middle East, which is considered quite conservative environment. And because I did it, and I had people helping me, I could see that other women maybe do not have this chance. So I traveled across many countries in the Middle East. In Egypt, I was in Saudi, in Lebanon, Morocco, and there I met girls and women in our own company, in Ingram Micro, and I could see that they are looking at me like, oh, Svetlana, how did you do that? Maybe share with us best practices and tips. And that's how we started connecting, and that's how we started forming those small groups of women who were waiting for me next time I come for a business trip to Saudi and talk and have a session, a quick chat. And then I could see them also growing in their careers. And that became my passion, really, to help other women to, with those little things, to achieve their dreams in IT, in technology.
Exactly. Thank you. Thank you for that. And Sabine Schulz, who is one of Acronis' own.
Yes. Hello, good morning. My name is Sabine Schulz. I'm channel sales expert at Acronis Germany. So I'm pretty happy to see a lot of our partners today, this morning, joining this session. And yeah, I'm happy to be part of the panel today.
We are happy to have you, of course. And speaking of helping and of giving back, through Acronis, you've also been able to really get in touch with that part of yourself.
Yeah, if you're talking about Senegal, so
yes.
Yeah, Acronis is a really fantastic company. We had the chance to be part of building a school in Senegal with the Acronis Foundation. So we got there with a really small group and living with the families there. And I still remember there was some women having the kids in the back or was pregnant and taking the bricks or grabbing, so this was so impressive for me. And one thing was the gender talk, that was the best. So we was there just with the women from the area there. And there was one older woman, I don't know how old she was, but I guess more than 50. And her dream was to be a midwife. So, and she was still working on it to help other people around and doing that. So this really makes me so grateful that we have access to education without any cost. So we're growing up, it's totally natural. And they are so happy to don't have to walk without food, without water, 2 or 3 hours to the school. So this was a really impressive experience for me. And yeah, that's Acronis. So, and we also doing that together with our partners. So maybe after some other terms in the future, we are more than happy to do that with our cooperation partners.
I love it. You never know where that career in tech is going to take you, right? All the way to Senegal. Okay, and next we have Dr. Marija. I insist on using your doctor title.
Yeah, we had a lot of jokes about this
Plodinec.
last night.
Well, okay, so tell them why you're a doctor.
So good morning, everybody. My name is Marija Plodinec. I'm the CEO and co-founder of ARTIDIS. We are a healthcare startup based in Basel, Switzerland, as well as in Houston, Texas. And a little joke about me being a doctor is actually I studied physics. And then, of course, I did a Ph.D. in physics. So in case you have any health issues, please don't come to me. But often when I travel, and I travel a lot, and so once we were traveling with a colleague with Lufthansa, and then a head of cabin approached me and said, "Good morning, Dr. Plodinec, welcome to our flight. In case if we have an issue on board, would you be of assistance?" And I said, "Well, I would be glad to assist you, but just to let you know, I studied physics, and I can only calculate some probability functions, but nothing more than that." So there we go. That's all about my doctor title. So you can just call me Marija.
Yeah. moving forward, but I had to do it at least once. And so, rounding out our panel this morning is Elisabeth, Lisa Stettler.
Hi, everybody. My name is Lisa, to keep it short. I work for the Competec-Gruppe. I'm leading the Competence Center for Modern Workplace, and I studied media engineering, so I'm engineer by heart. And it's a pleasure to be here. Thank you.
As I was going through your story, Lisa, one thing that really struck me, and I've said this to you more than once, I know. One, your organizational skills and your executive management skills just, leave me speechless. But in all seriousness, the importance that your personal and professional network have played in your development.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's something which I can share with all fours here in the topic. It's not possible to become successful without the network. And this is not only business networks or having the right friends in the right time. It's also the network of neighbors, of family, of everybody else supporting us to become successful in where we are and to follow our dreams, because I think everybody here has some expectation of life, and sometimes you get successful in it, and sometimes you get disappointed. But people open you the doors, and you can walk through those by having those friends and elements around you. Yes.
All right, so on that topic, how and when did you first walk through those technology doors?
Yeah,
You're an engineer, so I guess early.
Yeah, well, the point is it was never a topic I talked about. So we grew up as 3 sisters, and my father is really engineer by heart. And with 3 daughters in the house, he didn't have a choice. So if he wanted to share his his emotions about technology, we were the ones sitting at the table. And if I compare it with your story, we never had pink at home. Never.
What?
So, no.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I can't even imagine that.
And I never wondered about that. I never thought we were special. But my parents did exactly this impression which Patrick gave us. They were partners in all their lives. And they had a small little garage with 5 to 6 people who were selling Peugeot. And I grew up in this environment where everybody's working, everybody's thinking about the enterprise. Enterprise is family, it's more or less the same. And you never wondered if we are female or male, so this is how I grew up. And this is leading by example. I never got questioned if I want to become an engineer, I just chose. And everybody said, yeah, well, okay, you do, feel free. So it's this, I never realized how special this is, and it took me some time. I still get kind of surprised when I'm interviewed in a surrounding like that one, because honestly, I think it's nothing special to be like that. But if I look around, yes, there are not many women who experience the same way.
Svetlana, if I may. Now I want to hear about, thank you. What a great story. How did you get involved in technology?
Yeah, I'm listening to this story, and mine is quite opposite, because I don't have any technical background, and on the contrary, I did not have an opportunity, and I was not encouraged to go into tech, because I was more raised in the conservative environment. And although I was very strong at school in math, in physics, but my parents somehow were thinking that, oh, for the girl it's better to have a career of learn languages, learn arts, so you will have this nice, not very demanding job. That's where I started doing. So I studied philology of Arabic language in Russia, so which is a bit strange, but very exciting, and I don't regret. But how I happened to be in technology, I think they were somewhere up there saying that, no, you still have to go for your passion of technology. So I happened to work in, when I was young, my first job was in telecommunication company in Moscow. And then I moved to Dubai in 1997. Then in 99, I joined a company, a distributor called Aptec in the Middle East. And that was the company where I'm still now, because it was acquired by Ingram Micro in 2012. So I'm all my life in the technology company, and that's where I was building and growing my career in IT. So I think if you really have that passion, so somehow you come attracted to it, and it will happen eventually. So I'm in the technology, and I'm leading a big group of people, engineers here in Switzerland. Now we have 100 employees, and it's very exciting to be here.
Who would have thought, right?
Exactly.
And here you are. Yeah. Given your story. Marija, the physicist, where did that come from?
Well, my story is very similar to Elisabeth's, because I grew up in a family, both of my parents are chemists, and actually I grew up together with 2 sisters and 2 brothers, so we are 5 kids at the table, and actually our parents always shared also their passion for science, but also the whole family life was shared between both of them. So for us was normal, that the boys can work in the kitchen, and they go, one of my brothers studied social sciences, the other studied physics, I studied physics, sister studied biotech, social sciences. So we mix, like within 5 kids, we have all different types of experiences. And I like physics, and so I went to study physics, and I like math. And funny enough, coming back to that doctor thing, my whole scientific career is actually in medicine. I work in oncology. Our company is specialized in developing new tests for tissue analysis. So we want to move cancer testing from the lab to bedside, so you can get fast diagnostics.
How
And so
fast? How fast?
1 hour, and not 2-3 weeks. And so I think that's something really important to me, that what we do has a purpose, has a mission. And I like that I can use physics to bring that forward. Yeah.
Wow, I feel like I was raised on another planet. Okay. Sabine.
Yeah,
Tell
I
me,
grew up with a lot of pink, but also in
Okay.
a diversity-oriented family. So I was interested in makeup and fashion and stuff like that when I was 15, and my plan was to be a bank clerk. So I already had a training confirmation. And then my mom, she's an electric engineer.
Oh.
She comes to me when I was 15. Just imagine, you're normally not listening, like Patrick said, to your parents. But she told me, why didn't you do something more with some future professional? So what about IT? I was like, what is it? So I had really no idea. I had no idea about computers. I played maybe some games on it, but nothing like this. So I was this typical girl. And yeah, I listened to her, and I started in IT training with 15 years, and that was the best decision to hear to my mom, to be honest. So I can recommend that to your kids if you have some good ideas for them. Could be the right direction, yeah.
And you really went all in. I mean, you were repairing computers.
Yes, I was around. So when I got there, I realized, oh, they are only men. So there was one other woman. And you start programming, repairing computers, telephone lines and stuff like this. So everything was new for me. But to be honest, in my age, the man around me was really open. So this was not like, you're a woman, you can't make it.
Yeah.
So no, they really supported me. And also the trainers in this training was really professional to women and would like to have more women in tech. So that's how I grow up and how I go into this industry, and that helps me a lot, yeah.
And are there more women now? Do you how has the industry changed?
Yeah,
days?
so when I look on the hosting industry, that's maybe a bit special. In the past, there was only men and was really sexism orientated and stuff like this. Being a woman was really difficult. But if I look around here, so how much women do we have here, right? So.
It's very balanced. Very
Yeah,
balanced.
yeah. But my contacts are still a lot of men, but it's not about the opportunity to get the job. It's more about they don't trust themselves. They are not confident. Oh, I can do that. I can do a technical, or they're not interested. I don't know.
You're talking about the women.
Yeah, yeah.
So this is one of the barriers that you're seeing is a lack of confidence.
Yes, yeah.
Do you all see
Yes.
this?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Because I think what most of us experience in our own companies, we have difficulties in getting women to senior positions. So we mostly hire junior engineers, also support and so on. And I think what I see, it really needs a lot of encouragement to push them, not in the technical skills, because they all come with amazing set of technical skills, but to lead the team, and especially because, you know, the balance also in the team is you have a disbalance. In our technical teams, it's maybe 8 guys and 2 girls, women, right? And so you really need to push them to say, okay, I can lead this team, even though I'm maybe a minority, right? In that sense, yeah.
I don't agree that much, because I also had a lot of women who really trusted in themselves, were confident to do so, and they just didn't get the opportunity. So they came to the last round, and the one they pick were the males. Yeah, well, you can say maybe it's just bad luck, or maybe they didn't have the skills, but honestly, we had in our teams and there were a lot of women around it. So there were a lot of project managers. So yeah, it always took a year or 2 more to have the senior position, or 2 or 3 years more to have this principal level at the end. And yeah, well, I always enjoyed working in the male teams. I really, I love the energy. I love the clearness of the speech. I love the black or
Very
white.
direct.
You know, it's if you're with engineers, it's always right or wrong. So I like that. But if you look back at the time frame of all female in our team, it always took them longer. And this is really where I was surprised. I can't say it's this person or it's somehow it took more time.
I agree, but it depends who's on the top. You see, I mean, it really, and I think this is also an issue we need to tackle from the top to bottom, not just from bottom up. And I think we have now our own companies, or we lead the companies, so we can make that change. And I think we can push the women. So it's not just about that they don't get the opportunity, we also need to encourage them to go and grab the opportunities. I think both sides are equally important.
I agree with that, but also not to forget that the majority of people leading the companies are still men. And
Yeah.
that's
Absolutely.
we as
Yeah.
individual
Absolutely.
women, we can help and really maybe break that bias, but we also need men to do the same from top and do the same, encouraging women, helping women to grow, giving more opportunities. So we really need you, the gentlemen.
I mean, and this is a very good point. You know,
Yeah.
it's not about, of course, sidelining the men or taking away their importance or their roles. Gentlemen, we love you. But yes, perhaps it is about, or what it sounds like to me, what I'm hearing is it is about empowering them to empower more women.
I would love to give a last remark on that
Please.
topic of confidence.
Please.
Because it's a slight warning to all the CEOs here in the room. We females are also as powerful as the others. And we love to get promoted for sure. So I think there is a confidence there. Just be warned, if we don't get the opportunity to get the higher rank, we leave. And I think this is also something which is typical female. We are strategic. We think a lot of, you know, we have also to balance a lot in mind. This is the organizational skills you said. So I have family. I know I want to have kids, and I want to have this experience. I don't have too much time. I don't have time to waste. So I'm in the game, and I'm really full of force and power all the time. The team is playing together. At the moment you realize that you don't get the support anymore, or you're kind of neglected, honestly, sorry, no. Then I go. And there are a lot of opportunities for women at the moment. So this is, for me, I appreciate the time at the moment because it's really cool. Yeah, you can choose at the moment.
That's fair warning. Fair warning. They will leave. Pack up and take their skills elsewhere. To a point that you made earlier, actually, when we first started talking, and we've touched a little bit about this, but this importance of mentoring and sponsoring, because they're two different things, right? What's the
I think the success of my personal story or my professional career is my mentors. So I had two mentors. They happened to be at some point of time my direct managers, my bosses, and I can truly say that I will not be here sitting now if not their support and help. Proactively helping me in spite of my mistakes, in spite of other people didn't want to support my strategy. They still were really helping me to grow, coaching me, mentoring me. So that's massive help. So I think one of the things which companies can do now is to create those mentorship programs inside each of the organization for women or any other people to really have that diversity problem solved. Really do that proactively. That word proactiveness is very important because things will not happen by itself. The problem will be there if we leaders do not proactively support women in our organization. So mentors play a big role. I'm confident.
Fully agree. We also have that in Acronis. So we have a fantastic executive team, totally actively working on expanding leadership. We have Katja. She's inspiring a lot of women in our organization to be a leader, and she give them the confidence to be. And we also have a talent program. So not only for women, also for men, because there are a lot of maybe developer, they would like to go in human resources, not only about the women, but also it's about leadership, bringing them further. And I'm pretty happy. I always work for companies. I didn't have this experience, lucky me. I always get promoted without asking, and was always lucky to
Maybe we should all work
be in an open-minded environment from my company side. So with the customers, sometimes it's different, but yeah. So we have that, and we have some really great experiences. I just know 2 women who make the next step after the talent program. So this is a really good thing. I can recommend that to other partners doing something in their companies.
What roles did mentorship play for you, Marija?
No, absolutely. I also had male mentors actually throughout my career, and I guess we still see that gap in the senior leadership. And as most of us heard here today, we were mentored by men and supported. And in my both scientific and business career, I had 3 mentors, and without them, I wouldn't be here today. So it was really important when I was in my PhD doing my scientific work that my professor, my PI was supporting my career. I had my child 4 months into my PhD, which was very unusual, and I was the only one in my generation to do so. And I still graduated with best marks because it was important that I do my work in the best way. And the rest was not playing a role, so that bias was removed, and because of that I was successful. And the same when I went now into a startup, we hear a lot, and it is true, and I have that experience that it is more difficult for women to fundraise. You know, when you go out and you pitch to VCs, investors, they see things differently. They're used to different type of pitching, different approaches, mostly from men. So when a woman comes, they perceive it differently. But the way to deal with this, or what helped me, is to have the mentors that support me, and at the same time, you know, to develop my own skills during that process and learn, simply by doing, by fighting, by being there, to your point. And I think this is the way how we can move the progress forward, and we do need both men and women. So be the mentorship programs, panels, we should really have mixed groups, because I think at the end this diversity and people working together will help to also remove bias, that at the end it doesn't matter, is it a male or female? You know, it's about performance, it's about, you know, can you do the job? Can you be actually good at your job? I think that's the only thing. At the end we need to get to that.
And you should not get a job because of a quota or something like this.
Exactly. Yeah.
Because this also makes it a bit challenging for women who really worked hard to get a next level, and then this quota stuff comes in this.
I agree and disagree.
Kind of difficult.
Agree and disagree, because the problem is, you know, this is almost like you say, oh, we need to suddenly be equal, but you know, the guys are 50 meters front running, so you need to get that you start at the same kind of entry point, and then how to set these quotas. I agree, it has to be about quality, absolutely, always. But nevertheless, we do need to encourage women and support them to get to that same level. Because if you want to see the competition, it needs to kind of
but
be...
this is a cultural thing in the end. You can find another solution on this direction.
I just want to add a quick comment, which is, you know, we talk a lot about the pipeline, right? We can't get women in management because we don't have women in the pipeline.
Exactly.
And which is also true. Like you said, it's bottom up, it's top down, but it's also bottom up. You know, it's supporting, it starts in the home, you know, and in school, and supporting girls and in their fields and technology. But I think to your point too, quotas for me also maybe can serve as a jump starter. You know, it's kind of like, we got to break that cycle somehow, or else it's going to take a lot longer, you know, for our young women to reach these top levels of management. If you want it now, if you want change now, you kind of, I don't know, my thought.
I mean, I know.
I'm curious to know what you're thinking, because I'm getting all kinds of
well, it's not about my opinion of quotas. I think it's human to be kind of biased. And it's human to decide by the guts about if you like somebody or not. And when I entered my first job, I entered in an IT company led by a woman. And it surprised me that there are a lot of really strong, impressive, cool, really tough women, project managers, consultants. They all were so strong women. And I loved working in this company. It was like cool because, yeah, I came from university and entered it, felt natural, all similar women, right? But all the males we had there, engineers, they were kind of, yeah, well, shy, quiet, a bit, so like how you would say weak a bit. And I was so surprised because I thought that's not what I experienced from university. Where are the tough engineers in here, right? And this happened because the woman on top was also biased by choosing people who are familiar to her. So I think it's not something male just have to cope with, it's also women have to cope with.
True.
And this surprised me and brought me a lot to the to the mindset that we always have to start from ourselves. And yeah, it's a cool thing if you are aware of that. But if you're not aware, and there are a lot of male who never experienced this struggle, there the quota helps, because it's extremely, like, if you have the first female in the team who really powers, you know, then you get your eye opener and say, okay, I trust her, and maybe you trust the next woman as well. I don't think that quotas are the answer for all the time, but as you said, the jump starter is really important to change the system. It's a systematic issue in there. And this quota is a change in the system, in the processes. That's why it helps.
But it definitely needs to be accompanied by other things. So supporting women to build them, get mentorship programs, everything we mentioned, because if it's just about the quota, then we won't get the quality at the end, and it's not going to help. But I think it's still, I think it's still an issue. We did a lot of progress, but at least, you know, I'm in the startup world, and in the last 2 years, especially during COVID, there was never more money fundraised in startups than ever before, but never less for women, especially women of color, people of color. So we see that the work is really just at the beginning. I do think so, yeah.
Yes, and this conversation is really just touching the tip of the iceberg. I mean, women is just, we're just part of the diversity discussion. You know, there's all kinds of other ethnicities and kinds of people that come into play, right, in terms of diversity and inclusion. But if I may, as we start to wrap up, then tell me, what would be your greatest piece of advice to someone looking to start their career in technology, especially a woman? Marija.
I think I had a couple of conversations with some of my students or interns in the company that are now really at the point where they're choosing their careers, and I actually have a very honest conversation with them. I talk about all the opportunities. I think there's really, as the technology is moving forward, especially in digital health, combining technologies with different society applications, I think that is like a really open sky. But I do talk about challenges. I do tell them, you know, it's not going to be easy. You need to consider that. You need to consider what kind of company you choose, what kind of team you choose. That's going to be important. I try to kind of bring in my experience, but I do tell them that they should go for it, because many of them think, oh, maybe I should, you know, change my career or do something else. And I really, when I have those conversations, I try to say, yeah, go for it, but be aware this is in front. So, you know, take the challenge and try to beat it. Yeah.
Go for it.
Go
Svetlana?
for it.
I would say that we have to excite the younger generation and girls specifically about tech, yeah, and really excite. So challengers are in every industry, but that excitement only technology can bring them, because it's very fast, it's dynamic, you learn every day, yeah? And I want to mention one example. So in Switzerland, I'm new to Switzerland, but I found a very wonderful education system here when they have a day for professions. So it just happened here on the 11th of November, where children of the age 11 to 13, they are encouraged to go to companies, to where their parents work, and they explore. They have an opportunity to really see and choose the profession. I found really it's unique and wonderful. And what we did in Ingram Micro here in Switzerland, we invite those young boys and girls, But this time we invite only girls. Yeah, so 10 girls. We could not make it more than that because of COVID. We invited them to our company and we showed them how it looks to work in the IT company, in the distribution. Guess what we asked them to do? They built server. Yeah, and they were so excited. So when I was reading comments, I was literally crying because they said, wow, I just can imagine how many those of 10 would really be probably following this career. So imagine each of us partner in the IT community can do that for girls. So how many girls we can inspire like that and excite? So I think excitement and awareness about technology what can help us.
Wonderful. Are you already thinking of how to implement this?
No, I would make it short. So what I would recommend, and I was part of a refugee program here in Switzerland, and I met some really young girls who was thinking about what's my next step, what I would like to do, and I introduced them, what is IT about? They asked us, what are you doing the whole day? And I showed them some pictures and told them what I'm doing, and they was like, wow, cool, I think I can do it as well. It sounds fun for me, so traveling around, having some meetings with some people, talking about IT security stuff and so on. So they was really impressed, but I would give them some words of don't take it personal. That's sometimes a female thing. What I have realized personal, and work hard and be nice. Because I've seen so much women in leadership roles getting really tough. So I'm pretty happy to see you ladies here. This positive, you know, you are tough, but not this negative tough, you know what I mean? So sometimes if you meet some leaders, they seems to be, they need to be really strong, and this nice thing makes us good. We are women, so we can be women also in the leadership.
We can also be feminine.
Yeah.
All right, Lisa, what would be your piece of advice? Thank you.
Lead by example and be positive about what you do. So I love IT, so it's not difficult to show this enthusiasm for the topic. And I think this is what thrives the others around me as well. So I have incredible much energy in me as a person, and I share this with my environment, and this brings all the girls in my team. So I'm leading a sports club team with little girls, and I tell them about my job. You know, it's not about that I don't have to tell them about IT, but sometimes, we get on the topic because they had, for example, a maths class. So it's about the discussion and being open to the topics. Or when we are on a walk outside with a bicycle or whatever, I tell them about physics, about how the landscape shapes. It's about giving access to knowledge which explains you the world. And this is what drive me at home. So I love IT and connections.
We're going to see a little bit more about the energizing factor in your life. But so as we wrap up, we had the ladies put together and send in some photos of things that, in fact, energize you and charge those soul batteries so that you can continue to show up, you know, for these amazing jobs. And this first picture is actually me, but with my daughter, and it was just, we were talking a little bit about balancing, right? About balancing the family with work, and how sometimes, you know, family has a way of crossing lines and kind of seeping in there, and you know, how you kind of have to roll with the punches. But Svetlana, if I may, tell us briefly, what is it that we're looking at?
How I energize. So first, I have a family, 3 children, and a husband. We all moved here to Switzerland. And when we lived in Dubai, I have to say it's really tough and difficult to balance personal life with a lot of, and with very demanding work. So I like sports, but I could not find time to really go to gym or be part of some basketball club, for example. So I started running about 10 years ago, and it became a passion. I've done a marathon, but more important, I like running and jogging because I can meditate, I can a bit disconnect from the outside world. But what is my trick, I would say? I try to bring this together. I started exciting my family, bringing them into sports, and you can see here in green, my children often run with me, not big distances, but we participate in competitions, and they're always very excited to win the, those awards. Or I excite them to participate in some charity activities, yeah? And that's where you will see me holding that school bag. So we were part of one volunteer organization where we were packing school bags for children in Africa. And I literally brought my whole family and half of the office of Ingram Micro to this event, because somehow you have to find time to do both, but then you can combine it, yeah? You can literally combine it and do all of that. So that's my way of energizing, yeah, combining family and career.
Bringing both in. All right, great. Sabine, what do we got
these are
there?
really
What is it, a
personal
go-kart?
pictures. So how I energize. So for sure, I make beauty days with my girls. So that's quite normal. And yeah, I really like social projects that give you so much back. If you just spend a couple of hours in a month giving some back to some organization, locally or globally, doesn't matter, or helping any neighbor or something like this, it gives you a lot of back. And what you see there is when I did my sailing license. That was also, sailing is something where you are offline, you are not connected, digital detox, so this is also quite helpful. And the most important part is my dog. So,
Yeah.
so he's part of my life, but sometimes part of my meetings. So, and he gives me a lot of back, and you have to go out, you have to energize, and yeah, that's how I energize, and on concerts for sure, also with my friends.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing that. All right, Dr. Marija.
Yeah, so my life is really mixing and balancing between work and family and traveling. And I wanted to share some, images of our daily life. And there was a comment earlier about, between partners sharing the work, sharing the family. So, when I travel, my husband has to take care of the house, and the photo on the right shows that it's not always perfect, and it's not a stage photo, so the kids were not very happy. They had to do a laundry sorting. But I think also what for me really brings the most kind of relaxing moments is when I'm with my family out in nature. I travel a lot. I spend time in business hotels all over the place. So when I'm at home, I want to go out. And Switzerland is a beautiful place. So we do a lot of hiking, camping, skiing, and this is where I relax and spend my best time. And I also love to spend time with my friends. I think also that, are not necessarily in tech, really just share experiences, share free time. That's also a bit outside of work. But even work-wise, I like to spend time in nature. So we do every year a company trip somewhere in the mountains. And we really just hike, have dinner, fondue, whatever, a lot of wine, beer, and spend time together. And I think that's also important for, when we talk about bringing the teams together, bringing diversity in, exactly in those free time moments in the company as well, we can build ourselves as a team better. Yeah.
Lovely nature. All right. Lisa.
Yeah, I think all looks the same. I put a lot of pictures of my husband in there because he supports me in everything I do. I could not have the life I have today without them. And one of the pictures we have in here is me sitting with kids on the table. This was the National Future Day Svetlana just showed. So due to COVID, we sent drones to the kids' home because we didn't want to have this limit of 10 people. So we sent drones and technology in the households. And we did this online sessions to tell them how remote work is doing by job, what we do as engineers. And so we have invited a lot of kids of my neighborhood, and this is what we do in the family. It's not about me when I'm at home. It's about us when I'm at home. And that's why I have a lot of charity. You can see the sports club. I don't do the sports club because I like sport, because honestly, I'm tired. But I do the sports club to give my kids the opportunity to share time with me and show that the resilience we build by building networks. And this is exactly what we do when we do sports clubs or neighborhood clubs or cooking together. This is how we build resilience in our system. And that's why we do really actively foster this value. And honestly, it's not that I want to do that. So the moment they are out of the sports club, I'm off as well, I guess. But it's giving them a purpose in their life. They build the environment together with us. They build our village. They share our, This is what we do.
Love it, love it. Love it. On that note, thank you, ladies, so much for sharing so much with us today. Such a pleasure. Let's put our hands together. Also like to give a quick shout out to our sponsor, Jump. Thank you for making this event this morning possible. And of course, to all of you in the room for being such a great audience. Thank you very much. And to our virtual audience, of course, thank you for joining us from our live stream via YouTube. It was a pleasure having you also in the room with us. And hopefully in the future, you can physically be here and in person with us. Again, and having these conversations. So now I would like to just take a moment to invite all of you to, slowly but very surely make your way over to the main stage where we will be continuing with the official kickoff of the summit this morning. Grab your coffee, grab your breakfast, grab whatever, just make your way over there. And of course, if we run out of seats for whatever reason in the other room, we will be also transmitting it live. You'll be able to watch it on the screens here in this room. So no worries, but of course, the more people we have on the main stage area, the better. All right, so we'll see everybody back over there in a few minutes. Thank you again, ladies, for such a wonderful panel. Yay!